iRacing.com has quickly become the racing industry's leading simulator. Whether it's stock car racing, multi-class road racing, dirt racing, even rallycross and soon rally stages, iRacing leads the way. Which is why the Cars eSport Tour opts for this motorsport simulation and why we're here with you this evening. Welcome to the virtual North Wilkesboro, North Carolina. Joe Donahue and Trey Shuttlesworth alongside this evening. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV, and for the first time in 2021, welcome to the Cars eSport Tour. North Wilkesboro Speedway, the classic track we all want to bring back, stands before us in its 1987 glory as our first stop on the tour, bringing Cars Tour competitors, iRacers, and other short track stars to one place, one series, one race this evening on Pit Stop TV. Joe, thanks so much for joining me this evening. Let's kick things off by taking a look at our six-race season schedule. North Wilkesboro this evening. Next week, August 18th, sorry, 2 weeks from now, August 18th, we'll go to Myrtle Beach Speedway down in South Carolina. Then Larry King Law's Langley Speedway on September 1st. September 22nd brings us what will be the brand new, historic, very historic Hickory Motor Speedway before taking to South Boston Speedway and Rockingham Speedway in October. It's only 6 races, Joe, but there's a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, and I think, for a short track racing series, you got a lot of really great variety going on in these racetracks. Obviously, you go to North Wilkesboro, just, being on bank, being on a hill, it's very different on either end of the track and obviously has a lot of history to it. Myrtle Beach, a fun little track. I've always enjoyed my time there. Langley always feels like an airport. It's very flat, but you can see a long way ahead of you. It should make some great racing. Hickory, I think, is a track that's going to bring a lot of hype, obviously being new to the program, but also to be such a big part of the history of stock car racing. You go to Sobo, always exciting, one of my favorites, and then Rockingham at the very end of the season should make for a great way to top things off and crown ourselves a champion.
And of course, these tracks are all, or have all been, stops on the Solid Rock Carriers Cars Late Model Stock Tour. There's plenty of tracks that Cars Tour has gone to in its current iteration, but many, many more that the Cars Tour has gone to in its previous iterations, of course, as Hooters Pro Cup back through the years, and that's where we get tracks like North Wilkesboro on the schedule in years past. And then the 4 tracks that make up the meat of the schedule, Myrtle Beach, Langley, Hickory, and South Boston, have all been on Cars Tour proper schedules, and Rockingham, of course, will be added later this year, the weekend of November 7th. Can't wait to get to all of these racetracks throughout the fall, at least the ones that we will be going to with the Solid Rock Carriers Cars Tour. But here on iRacing, we get to look forward to, again, these 6 tracks. We're not going to Hickory again this year, but we get to go to Hickory virtually, which is really, really cool. We were just there for Throwback, which is fitting then that we kick things off here on iRacing with a bit of a throwback of our own, Joe. We've got several throwback schemes throughout the field. I think the most notable one is going to be on Zachary Murtis' machine and the number 102, and you can see his Mark Martin throwback here. There will be some others strewn throughout the field. As we get ready to go, though, let's take a look at North Wilkesboro Speedway. And I mean, a lot of fans will be very familiar with North Wilkesboro Speedway. Some might not be. This is the kind of interestingly almost egg-shaped speedway we're looking down upon. 14 degrees, both sets of corners, but the big thing here, Joe, is the hills. You go uphill down the backstretch and back downhill down the front stretch.
Yeah, it's a real throwback for me. Back when I was a little kid, I used to ride my bike up and down a hill like this, and it's very different going into turns 1 and 3. You got a lot more momentum rolling down a hill, obviously, so that makes the 2 turns drive very differently. And while it's still egg-shaped, even though those 2 corners have the same amount of banking, it's a completely different animal to go into turn 1 versus turn 3. Being able to have that extra momentum, though, might bring us forward with some really great dives to get a couple passes in, and Rubbin's racing, so maybe a little bit of fun's going to come out of that. But North Wilkesboro, obviously, is just a great piece of the history of motorsports in America, and especially down south, and it's going to be really exciting to let these guys loose and see how well they can take to that extra little momentum they're going to bring down that hill.
Absolutely. North Wilkesboro is a fantastic little racetrack. Hoping certainly that this makes it back on schedules at some point down the line. Let's take a look at the Solid Rock Carriers Cars Tour points, though. Well, actually, they're going to be over. They should be right here. Yes, we have standings from the Solid Rock Carriers Cars Tour. We just raced the Throwback 276 a couple of nights ago, and Trey Shuttlesworth, our social media guy, he was there for that one. These are how the standings look on the far side of it. Now, Joe, I know these are going to be new names to you, but to all of our Cars Tour viewers, tuning in this evening, this is how things shake out after the throwback 276, at least within the late model stock division, which is what we're emulating here this year in the Cars eSport Tour. Bobby McCarty leads things off with Caden Honeycutt, an avid iRacer himself, in the second position, just 3 points back, and certainly leading the way amongst all the rookies. Jared Fryer, last season's champion, sits in third. Justin Johnson, the only multi-time winner aside from Josh Berry, sits in fourth, just 10 points back. And Joe, I know you don't know these names, but look at how close things are.
I was about to say that. As an initial reaction to seeing this point standings, one can only expect the utmost of excitement from the Cars Tour. I mean, look at your top three. 6 points to third from the leader. That's got to be exciting week in, week out. And granted, I'm not necessarily in a part of the country where paved short track racing is a big deal. You know, we got dirt stuff around these parts, but it's definitely a really big part of motorsports. It's, you know, that weekly short track racing that everybody loves, and it's the type of thing that you want to tune into and keep up with. And I think tonight I've learned a lesson. I think we're going to be keeping track of that Cars Tour a little bit more closely from here on out.
Oh, there's certainly a lot to watch with the Cars Tour, especially these late model stock points. And we've got a lot left this season in the late model stock competition for the Solid Rock Carriers Cars Tour. Of course, Wake County's been moved to October, but later this month in August, we'll be going down to, well, I gotta think about it now, Motor Mile. Well, I guess up from North Carolina, where a lot of us live, up to Motor Mile in Virginia, there we go, on August 28th, that weekend anyways. So there's certainly a lot of racing left. And then after Motor Mile, we still have Tri-County, we've got Florence, we've got South Boston. Wake County is still on the schedule, and then of course wrapping things up at Rockingham. There's a lot to look forward to with the Cars Tour, and I urge everybody, if you're new to the Cars Tour, hearing about it for the first time here on this broadcast, you've got to follow along on social media at Cars Tour on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and follow along with the broadcast as well on pitrow.tv and carstour.tv. Moving to tonight's program, though, Joe, we have some 33 drivers currently in the session and turning times. That is a lot. Let's take a look so far at practice times with about 8.5 minutes left in practice. Cole Cabery leading the way. Now, Cole is a very avid iRacer as well, and the driver of the number 71 actually has been in the Pro World of Outlaws series before, specifically in sprint cars, so I'm not surprised seeing that number 71 atop the boards. I'm also not very surprised seeing Ryan Matthews right there with him. Ryan Matthews, as he gets wadded up in a big crash there in turn 3, Ryan Matthews actually won in the Cars Tour weekend at Dominion just a few weeks back in, I guess, more than a few weeks back in June. But this guy doesn't race with the Cars Tour, but he is a late model driver, and he wins a lot.
Yeah, those skills carry over really well into the virtual side of motorsports, or virtual motorsports that we call it. Being able to hit a rhythm and hit your marks, that's the type of stuff that you can learn online that you can use in the real world. Obviously, Ryan Matthews is capable of bringing that skill to the table, both when he sits down at the computer to race on iRacing or when he straps into a real race car. I've been looking at the rest of the top end of the board. I mean, 1/10 of a second separates first through eighth right now, and I especially look, it's interesting to see in practice how you can get guys like Caleb Hall and Dustin Momberket who run to the, 1,000th of a second the same time. So definitely showing that the field's going to be against each other tonight. They're going to be very well versed and well capable of being competitive with each other. I think that, you know, over the course of the race, it's going to change a lot. And having this many cars on track especially is the thing that I'm watching for tonight. That's just 33 drivers. It's one of the biggest fields that we've seen in a while here on iRacing when you exclude, you know, some of the more major races what we do here on Pit Stop TV, and it's going to be fun. I'm thoroughly looking forward to seeing what these 33 drivers are going to be able to do together on track.
And we've got a mix of a lot of different kinds of drivers from a lot of different kinds of backgrounds. So one of them here is Cameron Bolin in the number 67, and this is the current reigning Greenville Pickens Speedway track champion down in Greenville Pickens, South Carolina. Cameron's actually run with the Cars Tour before. In fact, I believe his most recent start was actually when he was crowned track champion of Greenville Pickens back in October of last year for the Old North State Nationals. That was because of COVID reasons and, you know, just the schedule getting moved around held in the Old South State. But Cameron Bolin has a Cars Tour start to his cred, and he actually gets into the wall there, so certainly having some troubles with the track this evening, as I'd imagine a lot of drivers will. This is a very difficult racetrack to get your hands around, Joe, so I'm not at all surprised that a lot of these drivers, real and virtual, no matter what their background is, are having problems with this speedway. You look down upon it and it looks relatively normal, like a normal oval-shaped short track, but again, it's mostly the uphill downhill that catches drivers off, and it's also the way you exit turn number 4. If we can take an onboard and take a look at the way you exit turn number 4 here at North Wilkesboro, it will definitely jump out and grab you.
Yeah, I definitely think this is one of the most unique short tracks that you're going to see, just from the banking, from the uphill, downhill, and obviously from the exits of these corners when it's sort of egg-shaped like this. You're riding along with Austin Pernelli's going to come out of this corner, and it's bumpy. There's a little bit of help up the hill, and it's just going to be very interesting to see how the guys roll down the front straightaway when they get there. But another thing that I think is really important that a lot of these guys are maybe getting their first taste of in a little while is when you get on a simulator, you don't really have the seat of your pants type driving ability. You can't feel how the car is reacting. You have to be able to see and react sort of just by sight, by what you actually can see the car doing on your screen. So that's definitely a major setback for people who are more used to feeling the car, getting the car underneath them and feeling how the car's handling in a specific corner, as opposed to what they have tonight, where they're going to just kind of have to watch what happens on the screen in front of them and hoping they can react in time.
Absolutely right, with a mix of drivers, again, from various backgrounds, guys who have run in their real cars, be it a late model, a legend car, or what have you. Losing that seat of the pants feeling is big. Now, for the native iRacers, they're going to get a chance to, I think, bring it to these real guys, and that's what we've seen over the last year and a half or so with all the conversion of real drivers over to the iRacing.com sim. So I'm not at all surprised that we're seeing a great, vast difference in some of these drivers' pace, and certainly some big crashes here in this practice session. Just a few moments left. We're riding on board. We'll still be on board here with Brandon Austin Mettler, who is the driver of the 15 car here in the series, and well, we'll take a quick moment to spotlight him in a few, but we do want to thank our partners here at Pit Stop TV, of course, Tucson Sound Art, your picture, your music. Go to TucsonSoundArt.com and use promo code PitStopTV for 10% off of your order today, as well as Race Pace Setups. Use that Discord link bottom right to join their server and grab yourself some GT3 setups, and Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine, where you deserve the best care that money can buy. Of course, Whiplash Media, the official broadcast, camera, and graphic provider of Pit Stop TV, and BAM Racing Videos, the reason we want to highlight Brandon Mettler. BAM Racing Videos or Brandon Mettler, by a race fan for the racing community. This guy has tons of content on his YouTube channel, and you can see his number 15 BAM Racing Videos late model stock car on the Speedway currently. We'll take a step aside momentarily. Don't go anywhere. We've got more Cars Tour action on the way. Just gotta get a quick message from our partners in, and we'll rejoin you from the virtual North Wilkesboro Speedway.
Have you found yourself trying to hide your joy because you're unhappy with your teeth? Your smile is the first feature noticed in an interview, on a date, or in family photos. We want you to be able to shine bright as your best self, and our teeth whitening system is the perfect step toward restoring your confidence.
Sound art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it sound art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
Welcome back to the virtual North Wilkesboro Speedway. So glad to be joining you here this evening on Pit Stop TV and cross-posting over to Pit Road TV and Cars Tour. So glad you're joining us once again from the virtual North Wilkesboro Speedway for the first race of the 2021 Cars eSport Tour. Joe Donahue alongside Trey Shuttlesworth grabbing photos for social media this afternoon or evening, I guess, depending on where you're watching from, as we wrap up practice here in round number 1. Qualifying is on the way, and these 33 drivers, they're going to have an interesting time, I think, once we get racing. But we have this kind of little reprieve, Joe, from a lot of cars having a lot of crashes. These guys, I say crashes, I don't want that to be taken in a negative connotation, because these guys are just getting up to speed, and for some of them, maybe getting back in a late model stock car on the sim for the first time, or, well, some of these guys maybe getting onto the sim for the first time ever, if not the first time in a long time. So there's a lot of a big mix happening here in this first race of the Cars eSport Tour. One thing I do want to mention is that we will be counting caution laps as a result of that, just in case things get a little bit out of hand, because again, this is meant to be fun. This is meant to be just something we can do here on a Wednesday night and, well, see what these short track stars can potentially do. One of them getting out on the track, we've already talked about him here, Joe. It's Cameron Bolin, Greenville Pickens track champion.
Yeah, Bolin comes out. Now he's going to start trying to tick off some good lap times. You can't be doing, see what he's doing right here. He's hitting the wall a little bit. Yeah, you can't be hitting the wall. So he's going to slow this car down and reset it and get ready to go for a real qualifying run right here. You got Justice Calabro starting off his run through the first 2 corners and out. You see the diamonding off of turn number 2 right there. I think that's going to be a really great way to help your qualifying run and get a little bit of extra momentum going up the back straightaway and try to run through 3 and 4 pretty nicely. We'll get a run past the start-finish line here, see what we get.
Justice goes fastest for now, but he does get upset then by Brandon Campbell. On board here with Justice because he is out of, well, originally Hollywood, California. He's one of the summer shootout drivers that I've had a lot of experience with personally, and this guy can wheel a Legends car, let me tell you. I can't wait for the day that he makes the move into late models, and hopefully it's with the Cars Tour. But he actually, I'm very surprised by his time, and wow, Cole Freilich, I'm surprised by that as well, from the 25 to the 26. A couple of big surprises here in qualifying. The Racing Nation Slothy Racing Chevrolet works down to turn number 3, and Joe, this is somebody you are very familiar with, and I think you're even, I'd imagine, a little bit surprised to see him go to the top of the charts.
Yeah, what you just saw at a turn number 4 is a little bit more what I expect out of Cole. We call him the Madman for a reason, but obviously he's fast, and yeah, kind of surprised to see him so far up the order. We got Brandon Mettler going around the turns right now. You saw him get into the wall on the front straightaway right there. Not at all what he wanted to do. Anthony Adams in car number 218 going down the backstretch right now into 3 and 4. Kind of rockets into 3 and 4 because of that back straightaway banked uphill and out of turn number 4. Pretty nice run out of that corner right there.
How about Steele Langford at the top of the charts? That number 33, very loose that time out of turn number 2. So good to see the speed out of the 33 car this afternoon. And Blake Neer now to the top of the charts. And a lot of these names, if you're an avid iRacer, you'll know some of them from the short track scene. And certainly, I'm not surprised to see Blake Neer go to the top of the charts here early in qualifying. These guys do have 10 minutes, so I think you'll see a relatively orderly round through the drivers here at qualifying. This is Wally Wilson in the number 69 Reaper Speed Lab Chevrolet. He's working down the back stretch, and I noticed somebody has gone to second place. That's Tyler DiVinanzo, somebody I've had a lot of experience in the past broadcasting about, but the driver out of Canada goes second quickest during qualifying, and so many more are putting times on the board. There's still Langford again, but here is Tyler Hilton, who's currently in 6th.
Tyler Hilton running a car that looks awfully familiar. A nice little throwback here to Richard Petty. But I gotta say, one thing I'm noticing out of all of these qualifying runs, these guys are still loose. I mean, these cars are still kind of getting out from behind them. We'll ride on board now with one of our own, Jacob Baticki, in car number 13. We'll see how well he can keep the rear end of this car straight in these corners and off of the exit right now. So we got a new guy at the top end of the board. Robert Keneally goes to the top end, and you can see right there Robert bringing it down, but they just keep getting faster, Andrew.
Really good time there out of Keneally. Baticki, you mentioned one of our own. He's worked with us here at Pit Stop TV and, of course, at Pit Road TV. He is our technical director for Cars Tour TV. So glad to have him in the series. He's going to go out there and put his first qualifying time down and go, it looks like, 19th quickest of 22 to set a time at this point in time. Now 20th out of 23 as more drivers put times down. There's Michael Bumgardner out of Carolina as well. A lot of Carolinians in this field, but one who isn't is Joshua Balliet, or Malenko as many call him, out of Pennsylvania. So very cool to see our lone Pennsylvania driver on the field. He's got EWRL on the back end of that car. Spotter Mal, he is Malenko, so he's kind of sponsoring himself there on the quarter panel. And good to see that number 7 car in the field this evening, getting his qualifying time, and he'll take a time this time by.
Yeah, definitely short track asphalt racing is very popular down in the south, but there are a couple stragglers up north and out west that love the sport just as much. You see EWRL on the back end of that car. He's just going to try to keep diamonding off turn number 2 really nicely. He kept that car straight well out of turn number 2. I'm thinking turn 4 might be more of the problem spot, but even still, everybody's just getting loose out of the corners, and Josh did a pretty good job of holding on to it that time. I think that's going to be a pretty important part of this race. Holding onto those tires a little bit more than your competitors is going to make you a little faster, but I hope that it's just because they're going hard on these qualifying laps, because these guys are very loose right now, and that's definitely unsettling if you want to try to keep a really good, tight-packed race at the front end for positions and have some good battles on track.
Well, we can see that it has warmed up a little bit. Now, this weather started out exactly as was forecasted for North Wilkesboro earlier today, with some clouds in the sky, so we are breaking up the sun a little bit, but still the track temp is at 104 degrees. It was just at 105, so it is rather warm on the track, and these guys have turned a lot of laps. They've certainly worked the track in. I'm not entirely surprised that we're seeing these guys get a little bit loose. It has gone a little bit warmer than the session initially started. It started out more so around 75, 76 degrees, so it has gone north just a little bit there on our weather report. Again, 77.2 degrees, 104 on the surface of the pavement here in virtual North Wilkesboro. So not at all surprising, I think, that these guys are getting a little bit free. Some more drivers taking to the Speedway. Here's Cole Cabery.
Cole Cabery was fast before. We'll see if he can put that number 71 to the top end of the list. See him ride all the way up to the wall in 3 and 4 on this out lap. That's going to enable him to get a really nice run down the front straightaway underneath the flag stand. And we're on the clock with Cole through turns 1 and 2. Nice little run, trying to diamond, loose off turn 2. That's not going to get off of the, see, we're going to pull to the inside right here. Cole's going to try to reset that car and get a better run at it. We're on board with Charlie Beals now out of the Virginias. In car number 5, he's going to try to do the same. And into turn number 1, he's going to head.
The driver out of Midlothian, Virginia, now working down the back stretch, and he's right in there where a lot of our Cars Tour drivers come from. You've got Daniel Silvestri, Minnie Terrell, and so many more that come from that Virginia area, especially Manassas, Virginia, in the case of, I believe, Mason Diaz from up there as well. So a lot of drivers from in that area. Not surprised to see another driver out of that area come and take to the track with us here virtually. He goes 20th quick on his first lap. We'll see what he does on lap number 2. Meanwhile, one driver getting back on the Speedway is Cole Cabery. You can ride on board with him here in the number 71. But also, other drivers getting on the track as Cole drifts out of turn 4. You know, of all drivers in this field that I would think would be okay with that, I think it would be Cole, having gone pro in the World of Outlaws iRacing series. Kind of interested that he kind of slowed down and is giving that time up, maybe wanting to start from the back here. Caleb Hall is waiting on his opportunity to go out there. Here's Dustin Monburquette out of Canada. In fact, specifically out of Tiny Canada, I believe. I don't know which province that's in, but out of Canada regardless, in the number 16, working across the start-finish line, and will take a time, and he moves up to, waiting on it, 3rd place, my goodness.
Yeah, a lot of people maybe don't expect those northern neighbors of the United States to be so fast, but they got a lot of really great tracks up there where they run these short track type setups and cars. So if we're on board with Ryan Matthews, this is a guy we're going to want to watch on his qualifying run. That 51 with the little M on the tail. He comes under the flag stand. On the clock right now, goes into turns number 1 and 2 right here, runs right down to the bottom of the racetrack. Nice exit. Kept that car pinned up the back straightaway, I guess I should say, into turns number 3 and 4. You can kind of rocket into the apex of this corner a little bit more. Out of turn number 4, very interesting part of the track. Keep it off the wall. Nice lap. We'll see where it puts him.
On pole, quick time for Ryan Matthews. How about that? The driver of the 51 out of Mechanicsburg, is it Mechanicsburg or Mechanicsville, Virginia? I got to check my list. Mechanicsville, Virginia. My goodness, what a heater there from the driver of the 51. Here's Caleb Hall, who's just gone 20th quick. Brian Dickens was also on the Speedway. Here he is, the number 122. He has gone 10th quick so far. And Alex McCollum will be the final driver to take a time. Driver number 33 on that list. He has stopped right by the Holly Farms decal there on the wall. I don't think he liked the way he was coming around to take that time, so he's going to reset, do it again.
Yeah, you get the opportunity to go back to the pits. If you don't start a lap, you don't lose anything for it. There's no penalty. So obviously, you want to run through 3 and 4. You want to run right up to the top of the wall and then diamond off and get as much speed as you can when you hit the stripe for the first time. Obviously, when you mess that up a little bit, you can come on back, but coming through 1 and 2, we're a little bit higher off of the apex of the corner. Here down up the back straightaway again. Like I said, you can kind of run the car into the corner a little more when you're going uphill. Through 3, through 4, McCollum's going to come to the line, and we'll see where he puts him.
He goes, my goodness, to the top of the board. That's a 19.2. I said Ryan Matthews put down a heater. No, that was a heater right there from Alex McCollum. So very, very quick time out of the driver of the 1 car who comes in right there at the back end of qualifying and just schools everybody. What a time out of Alex McCollum to put himself on top of the board. So we've got a lot of fast drivers to work through here. Joe, let's take a look at our starting grid, kicking things off with the guy that we just saw go to the top. It's the 1 car of Alex McCollum with Ryan Matthews to his outside. How about the other 1 car in behind him, Robbie Keneally out of Madera, California, in the 3rd position. Blake Neer out of Canada, he'll start 4th. Starting 5th, though, it's going to be Dustin Momberkent with Trayton Lapsevich, also out of Canada. A lot of our Canadians up front here. Trayton will start from the 6th position. Starting 7th, it's going to be Michael Bumgardner with Tyler DiVinanza, the 297 cars in row number 4. Row number 5 brings us Matthew Robinson and Cole Quinton.
Throw it back to row number 6, starting on the inside. You got Brian Dickens in car number 122, and then his outside is going to be Jared Jackson in the 12 machine, starting 12th. Starting off 13th, the number 33 of Steele Langford, and his outside is going to be Tyler Hilton in car number 82. Going back to 15th on the grid, you start on the inside here with the 57 of Jake Brooks, and to the outside, Zach Mertis in number 102. Rolling back to row number 9 on the inside, Joshua Balliet from Pennsylvania, the number 7 car, and out of Kentucky, the madman Cole Freilich, starting 18th. Starting 19th on the inside of row number 10, Brandon Campbell in car number 99, and Brandon Mefford on the outside in the 20th starting spot.
Starting 21st this evening, it's going to be Caleb Hall in the number 98 out of Rocky Mount, Virginia, with Justice Calabro out of Hollywood, California, now local to the Charlotte, North Carolina area. How about Justice Calabro in 22nd position? Starting 23rd, it's none other than Garrett Fox in the number 85 out of Mooresville, Indiana, with Austin Purnell on his outside out of Yanceyville, North Carolina. Starting 25th this evening, it's Gregory Smith in the number 6 with Brandon Mettler to his outside in 26th. Starting 27th, though, it's going to be the driver of the 5 car, Charlie Beals, with James Fox in Mooresville, Indiana, to his outside. Starting 29th this evening, it's Jacob Baticki, initially from Guatemala City, Guatemala, now out of Mooresville, North Carolina, son of legendary Lenny Baticki, starting from 29th, with Cameron Bolin, reigning Greenville Pickens Track champion, to his outside. The back 3 cars of the field here, Joe, are going to be Wally Wilson in the number 69, Anthony Adams in the 218, and finally Cole Cabery in the 71, from fastest in practice to starting dead last shotgun on the field. Looks like we got 1 driver opting for a move to the back end of the field. The 000 is our wonderful race controller of Zach Buchanan. So glad that he is picking up those duties, and so thankful for him as well, picking up those duties here with the Cars eSport Tour. So 33 drivers. We did not think we'd be taking 33 drivers into the feature week number 1. No, sir. We will cap the rest of the season to 30 cars, but we got an influx of signups, and we told them, hey, we weren't going to limit it for tonight because we didn't think we'd hit 30. Well, here we are. We're hitting 33. So North Wilkesboro Speedway, virtually anyways, you are witness to the largest field we'll have all season long. And boy, it is going to be a wild field down to turn number 1 for the first time this evening. Joe, once again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in here on Pit Stop TV. I cannot wait to get this show on the road. Down to turns 3 and 4 for the final time before letting this field loose. Waiting on the signal from our starter. No, it's not Brandon Willard, but it'll do. The green flag flies. We're racing down to turn number 1. Ryan Matthews leads us out of turn number 4. Caution flag is out. We will take a quick halt of action. Not sure exactly where that one came out, but it looks like Wally Wilson is involved and several others down here in turns 3 and 4. Look at all this damage already, Joe.
Yeah, this is definitely not the way that Wally wanted to start off this race. Started a little further back into the field, so you kind of want to just ride at the very beginning of this race and get through the first couple corners before you really start putting on the binders. But obviously, Wally got caught up in an incident that got a couple of cars involved right here. We'll catch the replay.
We'll see what we can catch of it. He's 3 wide here with, it looks like, Purnell and Cabery on the inside, and then into turn 3. We lose him for a moment, and we rejoin him with a very wadded up number 69 car. So can only imagine what happened there in turns 3 and 4. And our series admin there again, Zach Buchanan, will take care of that and give any penalties if needed. A few drivers in the pit lane here on the far side of this caution. I'd imagine getting some repairs, and these drivers do have one fast repair that I think a couple of drivers have already taken. Brandon Campbell, looks like, has taken his. Cole Cabery also coming down the pit lane along with Brandon Mettler in the number 15. He's got some damage early in the BAM Racing videos, number 15. Unfortunate to see for him. And Wally Wilson, of course, taking a fast repair. Actually, no, he just came in, I think, for I'm not even sure, because it doesn't look like he's done any repairs to that car.
Yeah, it looks like there's still a lot of damage on the 69, and while we're at a short track, so aero isn't crucially important, there is still the possibility that there's some underlying damage that could hinder the ability of Wally to keep up with the field, so we might see Wally come back through the pits a few times to just kind of top off on repairs throughout this caution. I don't think we're going to give him a whole lot of time to do it, though. He sets the fastest lap since we got to green and then went straight to yellow. That will definitely be going away here soon. We got another car down on the pit lane, but this is definitely not what the guys at the front wanted to see to start off this race.
No, not at all. But to be honest with you, 33 cars, it's almost to be expected. And counting caution laps here, it is likely going to work through a lot of our race under caution, let's be honest. But that's something we did expect, is, you know, first race out with a lot of these guys from very different backgrounds. We didn't exactly know how they were going to mesh. We wanted to be able to get through tonight's program without too much difficulty. So that was a big factor in that decision to go for, again, counting caution laps. I know that's kind of against the short track racing, I guess, etiquette and, you know, rules and what everybody expects. But when you've got 33 guys who are brand new to each other, and, you know, maybe a few have raced with each other before, but 33 guys that haven't raced as a cohesive group, yeah, it might take a little bit to get going, especially when, let's be honest, they don't have to pay for these cars in the morning, right? So they will certainly press the issue just a little bit harder. Up front, it's still Ryan Matthews and Alex McCollum on your front row. They swap positions after that initial start. Now, in the Cars eSport Tour, these guys do have choice of inside or outside if they are the race leader. It looks like Ryan Matthews opting to stay on the bottom side. At a turn number 4, we'll let these guys loose one more time. Waiting on the signal from our starter. McCollum packs up. Everybody packs up, and the green flag flies. Still side by side are the 51 and 1 car. Blake Neer riding behind them. A much better battle down to turn number 3.
I think Blake Neer's got a really solid opportunity that he's single file right behind these two as Ryan Matthews tries to send it out front. He gets the lap led. He's going to try to slice that car into single file with McCollum, and he does so. He takes
oh my goodness.
of the race. Oh, big crash on the front straightaway, cars backwards. That's Jacob Paticki right there, and others getting piled into this.
And Justice Calabro and Cameron Bolin, all of my Legend Car comrades in this one, unfortunately. 3 cars, well, definitely more than 3 cars. A lot of cars wadded up in this one. Let's take a look back and see what we might be able to figure out about this one. All 3 of them restarted around one another. Jacob Paticki in the 13 car. Justice Calabro to his outside. Cameron Bolin in behind. Let's take a look at what happens here out of turn number 4. Does Cameron give him a shot? No, Jacob runs up into Justice, and oh, man.
I was wondering maybe right there if Jacob saw the 67 coming into his quickly and got a little bit reactionary.
Yes.
And unfortunately, lost a little bit of control of that car, slid right up into path of where Calabro was on the outside, and just from there, small traction, short run, and into the wall they went. But it seemed like that was sort of a reactionary move from Paticki to try to avoid an incident there, and credit to him for being heads up and being able to react to it and avoid something at the start there. But unfortunately, the field's all wadded up, and it happens sometimes.
Yeah, that's exactly, again, what we kind of expected in this first round. And there were only 6 rounds in this series, at least for now, I think, for a reason. There are going to be some growing pains. Now, this series has run before, most notably back on Podium Esports, but it's been a while, and this is a vastly different group of drivers and a different kind of setup. So there will be a little bit of growing pains in getting into a format here. So while these guys take a little bit of time to get used to one another, we expect a few more cautions, and I'm expecting a pretty good product here in 2 weeks by Myrtle Beach, if not then by Langley on September 1st. Let's be honest, the real Cup guys, they got on iRacing last spring, Joe, and they had a lot of problems.
Yeah, and like we said earlier in the broadcast, being able to move over from a real car into a simulator is a difficult thing. Obviously, you're used to feeling the car, and now you can't. But like you said, also, there's sort of a chemistry that goes on with the field of drivers, and a lot of these guys probably don't know each other, or know each other very sparingly, so they're not really used to each other's driving styles and knowing who gives space and who likes to run nose to tail and that sort of thing, and the etiquette that they're going to share with each other out on the track. So it's a great role to be able to say you're racing in a Cars Tour event, whether it be virtual or obviously in the real world. So a lot of credit to these guys, and it's definitely worth the hype for them. So they're definitely going to want to try to put on the best show they can.
Exactly, and everybody's here to have fun. That's the biggest thing about it. So as long as these guys do have some fun up in the front, well, then it is certainly a success at that point in time. So we'll see what these guys can do over the next few laps. If you're wondering about the running order through the rest of the field, well, there's a lot to try and keep up with here. Let's do our best, though, as these guys take the one-to-go signal. Ryan Matthews leading, then it's Alex McCollum, then Blake Neer, Trayton Lapsevich, Tyler DiVinanzo, Robbie Keneally, Cole Quinton, Dustin Monburquette, Michael Bumgardner, and Matthew Robinson. Your top 10 drivers like Cole Fralick. He sits in the 13th, 14th spot. Right about there, Zachary Murtis right behind him. Tyler Hilton is back there with him. Joshua Balliet around the 20th spot. So a lot of drivers still, I think, that we're waiting on to move through the field on their way up. We'll take the green flag one more time, and we're back green flag racing from North Wilkesboro. Love watching the field work their way through turns 1 and 2. We've made it this far both times. Let's see if we can make it back around to the start-finish line and hopefully down to turn number 1. Ryan Matthews, the sole race leader. McCollum in behind, and it's a side-by-side battle for third.
Yeah, right now, Lapsevich and Neer going side-by-side. Lapsevich on the outside, actually making that work really well in the 76 machine as McCollum goes fastest from second place. You got a whole slew of cars going into turn number 3 right here. Cars side-by-side for positions all the way back through this field.
That's Keneally on the inside of DiVinanzo with Monburquette in behind. A caution flag flies behind, but certainly a much better run, and watching some of that race develop right there. And then we do get a quick stoppage of action. It looks like potentially some drivers by the name of, I'm not sure actually, who's going to be involved in this. Still trying to work out exactly who was in it, but it's looking like we may never know. It may be one of those kind of times that we just don't know exactly who is in a caution. And when you have 33 cars, sometimes that happens.
Yeah, definitely, and we're keeping track of cars up front, so we don't always get the best view of every single car out on the racetrack, but obviously the yellow comes out, it stacks the field back up, and I think even though it wasn't incredibly long, the longest run of this race so far under green flag, I think it definitely shows that this field's starting to get the gist of what's going on with the other drivers in the group, and we've got Justice Calibro back on the pit lane. I'm wondering if maybe that 25 car's involved.
I dare say so. That 25 is more than wadded up at that point in time, or at this point in time. So certainly Justice has had some problems, and hopefully he can get back on the Speedway and rejoin things momentarily. We're going to take a step aside. Don't go anywhere. More racing action from North Wilkesboro on the way.
Sound Art introduces an entirely new way to listen to music in your home. By combining the best of two products, a revolutionary high-fidelity, low-profile Bluetooth wireless speaker with beautiful artwork. Select from a library of artwork or upload your own photos to personalize your experience. Sound Art ushers in an era of invisible, beautiful, and amazing sound throughout your home and redefines your entire entertainment system. The need to reclaim your floor space and rid your home of unsightly speaker boxes that need to be bolted to the wall is now a thing of the past. Our canvas is printed on high-quality permalite by Breathing Color. And select from our gallery or upload your own. Standard sizes include 16 by 20 and 18 by 24 canvas wrapped. Custom sizing is available, as well as surround sound options.
Welcome back to the virtual North Wilkesboro Speedway. Some 33 cars in attendance this evening. And boy, it has been a race so far. It's certainly had our fair share of spills in this first few laps, Joe. And you know what? Thankfully, no coffee has been spilled from the Tim Hortons number 76, but certainly some other drivers taking some spills in this race.
That was a good lead right there. I thoroughly appreciated that. Yeah, we've had our moments, but like we've been mentioning, these guys don't really have that chemistry built between each other. They're still getting the works on the cars. North Wilkesboro is a beast of a racetrack to get down, and I feel it's one of those tracks that even the most legendary and best of drivers still have their moments at. So, you know, we kind of expected this. We're kind of expecting it to maybe continue a little bit, but they're getting better. They're getting more capable of racing side by side for longer, and we're just getting to that point where we're going to see some really great racing and some really good, nice runs under green flag.
We saw the quick overhead of the North Wilkesboro Speedway. It is a challenging little track here in the virtual North Wilkesboro, North Carolina. Can't wait to get this race back going. We're coming to lap 22 of 75. It's going by rather quickly, and these guys are going to get a chance to save some fuel. Green flag back out. It's lap 22. Ryan Matthews leading the way. Mccollum in behind. They're stacking up further back. Everybody, there they go. They spin around, and Tyler Hilton at the center of it.
Yeah, Tyler Hilton around, a couple other guys. The yellow flag is going to come right back out. Definitely think the leaders are getting the grips on racing each other really well. The middle of the pack still kind of bunched up, and everybody's still jarring for the same real estate. You can see Tyler Hilton was trying to get into some space that maybe was not there, or maybe somebody else got into quickly. We'll catch this replay up again, but I definitely think up at the front end, at least, this race is getting really good, and they're getting really good at running each other.
Tyler Hilton was on the outside initially of Zachary Murderson, that beautiful Mark Martin 102. You know, they stack up ahead, and then it looks like one of his teammates tried to shoot the gap to the inside of him. Cole Cabery gets a piece, and there's just a caution on the backstretch.
Yeah, just the car getting out of line and things wad up a little bit, especially off of the exit of a corner. I think that's a really bad spot for that to happen. That's sort of where calamity ensues. So, you know, Hilton's got some damage on the car. He'll come in, get that car shaped back up, and hopefully be able to get back out here and stay competitive, get back up to the front of the field, and compete for some good finish positions.
Looks like that may have started with the 122 potentially of Dickens. We'll take the overhead view from our blimp atop the Speedway, and yeah, he gets a boot there from the 57 car. They sorted it out for a moment, but then it was the stack up where everybody got turned around. That was Dickens who got turned around momentarily by Jake Brooks in the 57 car. So unfortunately, a little bit of contact just kind of creates that chain reaction. And that's the exact kind of thing to expect, I would say, here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway. Bit of a quickie yellow. We're right back to, well, 1 to go, 1 to green. And that might be changed as the 218 gets waved around the field. But I think we're still going to restart this time by Joe. So it looks like we're back at it that quickly. Ryan Matthews still the race leader, and out of turn number 4, he'll get the signal from atop the flag stand to get back green flag racing. The rest of the field gets after it. We're back green on lap 26. Oh, Mccollum up the racetrack, and more drivers turned around, coming right at you, hot and heavy right there out of turn number 2. Big crash.
Yeah, that was one of the 97s getting spun right there at us. You've got the 99 of Brandon Campbell running through the grass right here. We're watching with him. That Reaper number 97 definitely not the start that the front end needed or wanted. I know the front end of the field's really been getting those restarts down lately, but evidently, I mean, row 1, row 3, they were both getting into it.
A lot was going on. Keneally backed up. I think that's where things are going to start. Maybe Momberket. No, it was Momberket to the inside. And moving that 97 up the racetrack. Mccollum had a moment as well. But that's where the initial stack up is. And then they just stack up worse and worse. Murtis involved. Dickens gets turned around. And, well, you know, 33 cars. Room runs out quick.
Yeah, definitely. Especially on a short track there. And I think, you know, when you go into that corner, you know, you want to get any opportunity you can to make a pass in and move up. Momberket did the best he could. You're on board with Robbie Keneally here. So Keneally didn't get the best restart. Right here out of turn number 4, you're going to see he loses the tail of the 76 car in front of him. And then we're going to wait. There's Momberket. Now we're on board. You see, just trying to dive into this turn and maybe make up some time, get down to the bottom line in through the corner, and obviously running out of room going 3 wide like that. Definitely not the way that Momberket wanted the turn to end up, and then obviously we get a couple more involved on the back straightaway, but you know, they're just jarring for positions, and we're a third of the way into this race, so there's time left, but you know, you never really have enough time if you're driving one of these cars and you're getting kind of ready to be up at the front end of the field. So definitely just a small situation, just running out of room in turn number 1 right there.
That sounds like a pretty solid breakdown of that one from our own Joe Donahue. Certainly, these guys just drawing for position, and I think maybe Dustin Momberket could have waited, but obviously he felt like that was an opportunity to try and make a pass. He went for it, and it didn't quite work out. Thankfully, these guys don't have to work on their cars. They ain't got to pay for it. They get to have their incident, and if that's it, that's it. They move on from it. So one thing about this run of the Cars eSport Tour is we want the drivers to kind of handle things themselves. We want it to be self-policing. What we mean by that is not going out there and having intentional retaliation. No, what we mean by that is we want drivers to talk about it. We want to leave it up to the drivers, and obviously the drivers will have their own public opinion of how things go. We don't want to step in unless we have to, but we will certainly step in if we have to. But under this caution flag, we're completing lap number 30, and Ryan Matthews has not pitted. I'd imagine, Joe, they're getting to the realm of possibility of making it without having to stop for fuel. Now, usually, in a late model race, you never have to stop for fuel, unless it's the old North State Nationals. Actually, we'll run 300 laps at Orange County Speedway. These guys would have been just 20 laps shy of making it to the end if they went green. But with these caution flags, I think they'll be okay.
Yeah, I'm starting to think the same myself. We were originally thinking we were going to have like a halfway break to let these guys come in and get fuel. That will not be the case tonight. We will be able to go to the finish of this race without any sort of staged caution like that. I think it's definitely going to help them be confident in their race cars.
The field goes back green out of turn number 4, and it's lap 32 as we race out of turn number 1. Ryan Matthews in control. He brings Blake near along with, but Lapsevich quickly wanted down to the inside.
Lapsevich rolling right now, trying to see if he can make some work out of the number 14 of Blake near. They're running single file right there. You got a nice little race going on, Bumgardner and Keneally, and there's all sorts of things going wrong in turn number 4. Oh, big pile up right here. Yellow flag's going to come back out.
Oh my goodness. And oh, Justice Calibre was crashing into the pit lane. And here we go. It looks like Brandon Campbell is crab walking down the front stretch. So a lot of cars involved. And yeah, this is why we were expecting 30 car limits, but we weren't expecting to go over that this evening. But once we told them, hey, we aren't going to limit it, we had to hold true to our word. We'll see what happens here for multiple drivers in turns 3 and 4. You see several drivers involved out of the 4th corner. It starts there with the 12 car getting turned around, and the 83 just gave him a quick turn.
Yeah, Jared Jackson right there just got a little bit of a quick turn from Brandon Mefford, and then like you see, I mean, the rest of these guys coming into this one, Momberket, like you said, Brandon Campbell with a lot of damage. We saw the 25 try to evasively move down to the pit lane. Justice Calibro lost control of that car and made for a pretty interesting racing accident there, but Mccollum was involved too a little bit, and just took a lot of cars that we had seen some good speed out of so far in this race, out of the front end of the field, at least for the moment.
Let's see what happened to Justice Caliber way back here. I was wondering why he was suddenly in the pit lane. He was missing some cars, and then, yeah, I think that might be a little bit of frustration there for Justice. I think certainly these drivers starting to feel the effects of all these caution flags, but you know what? We left it up to the drivers for 75 racing laps, so we let them figure out exactly how they were going to race. And definitely, these guys have been aggressive, and it's these little taps that, especially at a tough racetrack, will send you right around.
Oh, yeah, and definitely with these cars, I think a little tap goes a long way. I mean, they're pretty heavy. The tires are relatively small on these cars. It's sort of how stock car racing goes. And you get just the littlest bit of an offset of the weight on your car, even from air. I mean, you see it in the real world all the time. The cars don't even have to make contact. Just a little bit of an air push on the side of a car can send you spinning. So just even the smallest amount of extra momentum you bring into a corner, you might get into the rear of the guy in front of you, and it all breaks loose from there. So it's something that you got to kind of work with, and I think in the real world you have a better opportunity to save a car from that situation. So those guys are sort of more used to driving a real car are going to have to work with sort of how tricky it really is to keep control of a car in iRacing, because I've always thought you could feel the momentum of a car spinning a little bit better in the real world. Obviously, you can feel it than when you're working with a computer, like we've said before on this broadcast. So they're just getting their wits about them, just kind of getting used to the setup. And I think, you know, like we said, once we keep going into the season and even this race, they're going to start learning those things and be able to put on a really good show and be able to control these cars a lot better. And that's going to make for some really good stuff up front. We've seen a couple guys come up to the front and try to race with Ryan Matthews, and Mccollum, Neer, Lapsevich, all have been quick, but we're getting closer to the point where they're going to start getting a little extra aggressive on the number 51 machine.
They will start getting more aggressive, I think, as of this restart. This will mark halfway as we come around to take another green flag, and Matthews launches quick. He knows these guys are going to be looking to pass that number 51M down to turn one. Neer has problems. He gets moved up out of the way. It looks like one car had the chance to go inside. That was Quentin thinking about it, but stayed back.
Keneally got a nice run right here down the inside of the 14, but Ryan Matthews with an excellent restart. Lapsevich says, hold up, I'm right here. That number 76. Oh, 4 wide, loose, and saved. But they're in the wall, and save again. All over the place down into turn number 1 right here on the outside. Now they're 3 wide. Mccollum, nice run off the bottom side as they pass that number 34 machine of Robinson and back up to the front. They're single file. Things are working out a little bit better this time around.
How about our top 3? Matthews, Lapsevich, and Bumgardner are taking away from the field now. And that was actually, that was a relatively clean start compared to what we had before. Jake Brooks with problems in turn number 1.
Jake Brooks around that number 57 got up into the wall. Pretty nice there. You saw he was backwards into that corner. So we'll try to pull up a replay here and see what happened to Jake. Jake's been involved in a couple incidents so far tonight, and that's just sort of par for the course, being caught up sort of in the midfield like this right here. So he's got the 34 on his outside. Matthew Robinson, they ran out of room. I mean, moving up, moving down, just ran out of room into that corner. The 57 actually didn't really get a whole lot of damage. It wasn't a huge hit, but a little bit of damage definitely isn't going to be what Jake Brooks wanted.
We saw all of that jostling around the lap before, so this is a bit of a preview as to what ends up coming. And you can see the 34 having problems. That was Matthew Robinson that ends up having contact to end this, really, for Jake Brooks, and turn him around into turn number 1. We'll take a look at it one more time here. The 34 on the outside of the 57 car, and just they run out of room. I'm not sure if Jake was trying to move up or what, but they just end up running out of room. Left front to right rear, and we have a spin again. So that really is the breakdown there for that caution.
Yeah, and Garrett Fox was right there with that whole ordeal. Didn't really get the brunt of it, but was definitely close quarters to that whole ordeal. So Garrett able to avoid a more serious part of the accident. We got one bringing it around, trying to get a lap back right here. And, I wonder what you think when you're Ryan Matthews and this sort of thing keeps happening. And you keep getting the opportunity to have a good restart. You keep getting an opportunity to maybe hold back these guys. Lapsevich has been very strong recently in these last couple of laps, so you got to be watching him. But, what do you think about when you're leading this race? You keep getting these yellows, keep getting these restarts.
I think as a driver, man, you just got to keep nailing restarts. Haven't we seen that a lot in past months with the BRPI Racing Series where, Maxime Plant had to do exactly that, and he, let's be honest, restarted his way to a championship, I think it's fair to say. Not that he couldn't have raced his way to a championship, but he ended up restarting his way to a championship, just had to master the restarts when we had races that ended up with a lot of cautions, and he did it well. It ended up working out for him. I think Ryan Matthews might have to do exactly that for a win this evening.
I definitely think that being a good driver includes being versatile and adapting to the situation you're given. Not every race is green flag to checkered flag. You get times where there's cautions, you get times where there's a lot of cautions, you get times where there's no cautions. You have to be able to adapt to that if you want to be competitive and win championships in any form of racing, whether virtual or in the real world. So that's the kind of thing that Ryan Matthews seems to be showing right now. He's adapted to this race and the way that this is going right now, that he can get those really great restarts and hold these guys back for as long as he's needed to so far to be able to stay in the race lead, have the opportunity to choose whether he wants the inside or the outside on the restarts, and just being able to show he is one of the guys we're watching to see if he can win this race. Lapsevich right now does look fast, though, so if I was Matthews, I definitely would be a little concerned about that 76 machine on his outside.
I think it's a fair consideration, and Trayton Lapsevich has a lot of short track racing under his belt, running modifieds recently with the Carolina Pro Late Model Tour, running around in the NASCAR Pinty's Series. I mean, he's got a lot of experience to his name, and he fires off there, but gets bested, and it looks like Ryan Matthews still has a race lead down to turn number 1. They will fight side by side for the race lead. Matthews inside, Lapsevich outside.
Lapsevich had a pretty solid restart that time, actually, as Ryan Matthews moves up.
Oh my goodness, guys.
Goes way to the bottom side. They're not quite sure what's going on, but we got a new one down the inside. Oh, somebody's sliding out of turn number 4. We're going to have a run for the lead. Yellow flag's going to come out and save Ryan Matthews from losing it.
Boy, that was a wild one. We'll have to take a couple of replays back and see what happens here on this latest incident on lap 46 of 75. There's a lot to try and diagnose. We'll begin, it looks like, with our race leaders. Ryan Matthews, I'm not sure exactly what happened down the backstretch, but he obviously had to protect. Did he get loose potentially, or did he just go down and protect? He just went down and protected, and they ended up having a bit of a boot fest into turn 3, and I think it happens there with Keneally getting turned. Maybe the sim just detected that there were cars sideways and ended up throwing the yellow.
Yeah, I was wondering about that move by Ryan Matthews into the corner. You saw him dive down to the bottom side to protect that line, but he had to get on the brakes so much earlier than we've seen any car do so far in this race. And obviously, coming down the back straightaway, Bumgardner is getting an opportunity right here when Ryan Matthews gets into Lapsevich. But yeah, Keneally got way sideways. That might be the cause for the yellow. He saved it. Proper save right there. Very impressive from that 1K machine, but it did, I think, warrant the yellow flag from iRacing, and that would be the reason that we had to lose that great battle that we were starting to see shape up for the race lead. But I definitely think, Ryan Matthews got saved by the opportunity to learn what could come if he was going to try to protect that low again.
And we're learning a lot about these drivers as they're learning a lot about their competitors. Ryan Matthews, I think, has the restart game down pat, but it's starting to look like Trayton Lapsevich has the turn 2 game down pat. It looks like that 76 scored as the 132 might have something next time out of turn number 2. I would not be at all surprised if at some point Ryan Matthews exercises his option to start from the top side. We haven't seen it just yet. He's been bottom feeding so far, but I think at some point that's got to change.
Yeah, and I definitely think Trayton learned sort of what the opportunity is for a run out of turn 2, like you said, being very strong right there, and using it to his advantage in turn number 3. We saw Ryan Matthews get very defensive right there. I'm wondering, what does Trayton think of that? Is he going to think, I could try to make that move again? Ryan Matthews won't want to try to slide all the way down to the bottom side and possibly lose it like he did that time, where I think arguably we would have seen a new leader in very short time if we hadn't gotten that caution there from Keneally. But Lapsevich is learning just as much as Ryan Matthews is, and Ryan Matthews has a lot of pressure for being the starting guy, but I think Lapsevich had a great restart the last time. We'll see if he can get that number 76 fired off as well again. These two guys right here are starting to make some showing out of the front end of this race.
Take a quick look through the rest of the top 10 here. You can see Caleb Hull has made his way up in the number 98. There's Keneally in the number 1K. How about Cole Freilich on the outside of row number 4 coming to this restart? Garrett Fox on the outside of row number 5 as well, to the outside of Alex McCollum. Our top, well, however many cars we've got at this point, the entire field coming around out of turn number 4. The green flag will fly once again. There was a little bit of contact for a moment, but we do go green, lap 51.
Much cleaner and better restart for the race leader Ryan Matthews that time, but Lapsevich is going to get the chance out of turn number 2. He doesn't actually get there. He's going to stay right on the bumper of Ryan Matthews as they go side by side for second. Bumgardner gets the bottom side, and that might help him near. Oh, big crash car up into the fence even in turns 3 and 4 right here.
That is Charlie Beals out of Midlothian, Virginia, with a lot of problems for his number 5B, and he will take the tow, and it looks like that's it for Charlie Beals. A lot happened down to turn 3. Let's take a look at it. He restarts here behind the 58 of Fox and the 15 of Mettler, and it happens ahead of these guys even. We're trying to find exactly where it's going to happen. I would imagine around these guys. Oh, it happens even further up than that.
Yeah, Cameron Bolin got into, I believe, who was he beside? Brandon Mefford right there, and they get turned, and then obviously the rest of them pile in coming into turn number 3, and that's a tough break for Charlie Beals. He was involved a couple laps earlier in one of those wrecks we saw in turn 3 with the whole field getting all wadded up, and unfortunately I think the 5 car just kind of a sitting passenger in this race so far, getting involved in other people's incidents. And we're watching it back with Cameron Bolin again. You see the 34 right past the outside, Matthew Robinson, and they just slide up right into each other.
Mefford got the wall, came down the racetrack, and caught Bolin, and then everything happens with the 5 car after the fact, and he gets turned head-on into the outside wall in a rather dramatic way. Let's take a look back at it here for the driver of the 5 car. This is going to be a big hit. You can see Murtis gets by the 6 car as well, Fox even, but then, oh my goodness. Oh my, Purnell came in and hit him after the fact.
Yeah, he got hit pretty hard there in turn number 3. Purnell came into that corner and got him hard enough to get the car off the ground. He got a little bit up into the wall and going back to green right now, but that was just not what Charlie Beals wanted at all. But you see again on the inside line, Ryan Matthews going to, big checkup. Oh, green flag's going to come back out.
That would be a case where Jack McNally, series president, would be sitting down there to the inside wall and calling out what he didn't like about that restart, but this one stands until now with Blake Neer and big problems on the backstretch.
Yeah, they're still wrecking down in the grass on the inside of the racetrack. Blake Neer just did not get out of that corner well at all. I think he might have got a little bit of help there, but definitely one of the cars that's been able to stay up front and be competitive in this top 5 right now has now got a significant amount of damage on it.
Yeah, Blake had stayed up front the entire time, but Caleb Hull moves him out of the way there. They're 3 wide, and yeah, Blake just let it spin around, and so many cars get involved there. The only good news to any of this is that, well, we might start to see the herd thin just a little bit here, Joe, and we might start to see some of the cream rise on the top, the guys that have been able to keep their cars clean, although certainly they have not had great opportunities to do so.
Yeah, we get that one fast repair, and I believe that's what happened to Charlie Beals too, that just getting involved in another accident, not having a fast repair, you're not going to get much out of it. You're going to have to sit on the pit lane for a long time to have your repairs done to be able to race your car anymore. So obviously we're going to see a couple guys dropping out here and there, but like you said, cream rises to the top. The guys who can keep their cars clean or at least running are going to be moving up more and more. One of those guys that I'm thoroughly surprised by, and I know, I don't want to talk down on him too much. He's a good friend of mine, but Cole Freilich is a very aggressive driver normally on the sim, and I mean, that car's pretty clean right now, Andrew. Cole's definitely done a good job of avoiding these incidents so far.
Absolutely, he's done a great job so far. Other drivers that are starting to do a pretty good job of moving their way up through the field are going to be Zachary Murtis in the Mark Martin throwback there in the number 102, as well as Cole Cabery in the number 71. Now, that car is pretty torn up, but he's moving his way through the field after starting last. Joe, after starting 33rd, the driver now out of Cornelius, North Carolina, working his way through the field. Brendan Mettler starting to do the same. He's one of our cameramen for the Cars Tour and for Pit Road TV. In fact, he and I'll be working down in South Carolina later this week. I can't wait for that. Some other drivers working their way through. Well, not exactly Blake Neer now, although he has grabbed a fast repair and back on the Speedway. He will go. Here's Dustin Monberquette starting to keep his, well, I guess keep himself in the front after all of his couple of run-ins. Robbie Keneally staying up front. Cole Quinton has been very quiet in that matte black 18 car. Can't wait to see what he can do here on this restart and subsequent restarts after it. It looks like we'll get the 1-to-go signal this time by. Want to remind all of you watching along that you can follow along with our partners here at Pit Stop TV, Tucson Sound Art, Raise Pays Setups, Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine, Whiplash Media, and BAM Racing Videos. Certainly invite you to do so. And you can follow along with the Cars Tour as we gear up for another race in the month of August. Well, the very back of August, the final weekend of August, August 28th, thereabouts. We'll be at Motor Mile up in Virginia, so make sure to keep an eye on social media for happenings regarding that race. Meanwhile, we're getting ready to go back green flag racing now with 14 laps to go, this time by Joe. Ryan Matthews in control. To the start-finish line we will go, waiting on signal from the flag stand. They back it up one more time, but we are back green.
Oh, there went the number 76 into the wall. That's going to be another yellow flag. That is not at all what we wanted to see from the front end of that field. Tough break right there.
Yeah, you called it out just about right. It was the number 132 as he scored, 76 visually getting turned around. Trayton Lapsovich with problems into turn number 1. Let's take a look back on the restart. We saw the field go by our speed shot into turn number 1, but this time other problems are going to happen. I think maybe Caleb Hall giving him a shot in the shorts, and it looks like that is exactly what happens. Just a small tap, and then he gets hooked around. And I don't even know that's entirely Caleb's fault. And I mentioned that only because, and wow, Brandon Mettler had nowhere to go. I feel like it's not really Caleb's fault, only because iRacing's hitbox kind of, well, gave him the short end of the stick here. You'll see what I mean in a moment. The number 98 is going to go down to turn number 1, and I think if these guys were in real late models, his nose would have gone under the bumper here of the 76 car and might not have hooked him around, at least not as violently. It also may have folded underneath that car, so this is the onboard down to turn number 1, and I mean, it's just the slightest bit of contact. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say.
You know, the hitboxes, we've talked about that before here on Pit Stop TV, especially with late models in the BRP iRacing series, but Caleb Hall has now 2 of these incidents where he gets into the tail of somebody else, and I mean, like we've mentioned, you got to get used to the sim, you got to get used to the way iRacing is. It's not exactly perfect, it's a simulator, and the hitboxes, like Andrew's mentioned here, are different than a real car. Obviously, the physics are going to be very different, as well as just, you know, when the game realizes you're making contact with somebody is very different than the real world. So Caleb Hall just kind of getting things worked out with that number 98 machine, figuring out sort of where his boundaries are as he's trying to move up through the field. I can't imagine this is all purposeful movement. It's just the ability of Caleb Hall's driving to sort of adapt to the way iRacing is set up right here, and it's made for, you know, he's getting up to the front end, or he has been at least getting up to the front end up to that point, but it's just something you got to work with and something you got to sort of learn as you go through this race.
So we'll come back around and take the green flag one more time. This will be with 9 laps to go. I want to thank you for joining us here at Pit Stop TV, on Pit Road TV, as well as Cars Tour, as we go back green flag racing for the Cars eSport Tour at North Wilkesboro. Matthews leads down, and we've got the call. Well, the start is getting called back, but only because we've got a massive crash into turn number 1 again.
Yeah, Garrett Fox involved right here. You see the 85 turning it back around right there into turn number 1. I mean, they're hardly past the entry of the corner, so I assume this is going to be an incident we'll see coming out of turn number 4 and down the front straightaway as well. We're riding along with Garrett Fox. He's right to the inside of Jared Jackson right here, right behind Cole Fralick. And they come through 4. They bunch up a little bit for the restart. And then, oh, he gets a love tap from behind. That's the 33 machine of Steele Langford. And the rest of them, oh, Batiki got a bit of it too. I think Caleb Hall avoided it, but yeah, they just all got bunched up right there on the start. And one guy right behind another. They gets a better restart, and they catch right up to each other, and that's what happens.
We'll take a look at things from Jacob Baticki's on board, along with the PRN at the track Chevrolet. JRI Shocks on the car as well. And we'll see things from his point of view as he was just trying to get another restart in the books, and you see things just stack up. Steele just, playing God into the back end of that car, and oh my goodness. Just when Jake thought he was almost through it, the hole closes up.
Yeah, you saw Gregory Smith in the white number 6 to his inside just kind of disappear getting into contact, and then he sees the 83 of Brandon Mefford all of a sudden pop up in front of him, and just nothing that he could do to get that car rode down in time. So definitely unfortunate to see those guys caught up in yet another incident right there, but it happens. Sometimes you just get caught out with somebody spinning up in front of you at the last second, and there's nothing you can really do. It's a tough break, and you just got to keep trudging on. There's only about 6 laps left in this race, though, so getting close to the end of it, getting close to being really aggressive to get those positions back.
And these drivers have one faster pair, but also one green-white checkered that they can exhaust, Joe. That's just one attempt at overtime. Usually that's never a problem in the Cars Tour, the Solid Rock Carriers Cars Tour, but here on iRacing, we expected this. We wanted to hold them to the one, just so they didn't, well, let's be honest, take all night and have unlimited faster, green-white checkered attempts, because that happens on iRacing. It can happen with the best of drivers. It can happen, I don't care if you put Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas and Max Verstappen in some cars on iRacing. It could happen just because, well, they're having fun, and that's the point of it. But we are going to have that one attempt. I don't think we're going to exhaust it just yet. If we get another caution flag, we'll have that final restart, though. So these guys have basically one more chance, or two, I suppose, if you will, at green flag racing to finish this race up. We are moving on to lap 72 now, so we'll restart with 3 to go.
Yeah, and at the same time, we should point out Steele Langford and Caleb Hall both going to get EOLs for this restart, so they'll be starting at the tail. Definitely not what they needed right at the end of this race, but sometimes you got to dish them out. Ryan Matthews and Matthew Bumgardner are going to be leading us back. McCollum's back in the fight, and that guy driving that 118, I know we talked about Cole Quinton being kind of lurking his way up to the front. Well, he's pretty much there, and we're pretty much to the close of this race, so I think it's go time for the 118 machine.
Out of turn number 4, you can see Matthews holding back. He fires off there. The green flag is out, and certainly he grabs his little jump, but the field is right there with the Mccollum on his tail end. Bumgardner to his outside.
Freilich tried to get a nice little jump around Quinton right there. You see they're going single file. Matthews gets up front. Mccollum looks to the inside. A little bit of contact. Bumgardner moves up the track.
One spinning.
And we got a yellow coming out. Yes, we do.
That one car spinning around. It looks like it may have been, was that Lapsevich? I think it was.
So Trayton Lapsevich in the 76 machine. Unfortunately, we're going to see another yellow flag coming back out, but we'll catch a replay here, show you what went down. That restart was a little squirrely, so we'll see what happened.
This is interesting. So, of course, Caleb Hall just turned Trayton Lapsevich around a couple of cautions ago, and now Trayton Lapsevich is going to take a shot, it looks like, maybe. Well, he's starting behind Caleb Hall, and, he gets right to him. I don't think he's trying to take a shot at him, at least not there. We're right on board for this lap, but he gets by him by turn 3. I'll give you that little bit of a hint. And, yep, there's some contact there. Moves the 98 out of the way. I think that's just the 98 checking up. I'm not sure if that was intentional or not, but then down to turn number 3, Caleb Hall definitely, it's not intentional, but it's just so convenient that he ends up getting into Trayton once more. It's not intentional, I can tell you that from watching it, but he gets into him again.
Yeah, I definitely think that it's pretty clear to see just from how slow the relative speed was between those two cars and the way they were driving that corner. Caleb Hall just got caught out again by bumper boxes of these cars, and it's something they're working with, something they're learning as we go here. But unfortunately, Caleb Hall's been involved in a couple incidents with this bumper box where he gets into a corner, he thinks he should have the space on his competitors, and he just doesn't. It's iRacing, it's a simulator, and unfortunately Lapsevich gets the short end of the stick that time around.
We'll get back going here in a moment. Looks like we will go to the completion of lap 79, potentially. We'll restart. It looks like a lap 78 and take 79 for the white flag. That is if I say if we get back around to that white flag, and we'll see how it goes. No, it looks like we might go one extra lap beyond that, because we still have lights atop our iRacing.com pace cars. So, Joe, it looks like we're going to an even 80 laps here at North Wilkesboro. 5 cars have not stopped at all, those being Ryan Matthews, Michael Bumgardner, Cole Fralick, Cole Quinton, and Robbie Keneally. The only driver in the top 5 that has stopped was Alex McCollum.
Yeah, McCollum got caught up in some stuff earlier on in this race, but as you can see, he worked that one car all the way back up to the lead row, I should say, second place right now. I definitely think that the charge into turn number 1, when they get this green flag, is going to be pretty bonkers. You know, they're going to see the way this race has gone so far, and they're going to want to be aggressive to make a couple passes and be at least the leader as quickly as possible, maybe into turn number 2 even, and get in front of Ryan Matthews. So that's definitely what I'm watching for off this restart, and we're going to see if Alex McCollum can keep up with that 51 on this one and see if he can get those tires spinning as quickly as he needs to.
We'll see what these boys can do. One final shot to finish up round number 1 of the 2021 Cars eSport Tour. Matthews fires off, green flag back in the air. It's the final restart. They get a green-white checkered chance.
McCollum holding on right.
There it is.
And Fralick around.
And that'll
Yellow's
do it.
going to come back out. Wow.
That will do it. Many cars involved on the backstretch, one of those being Cole Fralick, another being Matthew Robinson. They just stacked up into turn number 1, and that was that.
Yeah, I kind of called that shot. We knew that they were going to be aggressive on the restart, and knew they were going to be aggressive into turn number 1. Those first 2 rows really had a great shot to make the move to be the winner of this race even. And as we're going to come back here with Matthew Robinson, we'll see from at least what he got a glimpse of in that number 34.
Cole Quinton got into the back of Bumgardner, and that turns them all around.
Yeah, nothing. I mean, Matthew Robinson was so far back there, it's easy to see there was nothing he could do. But they're aggressive. They're trying to make those positions up. 3-4 rows back, thinking they could win this race, and they give it their best go. But at the end of that corner, you know, obviously it didn't quite work out for him that time. The momentum got a little bit better than he did.
So Cole Quinton, I believe, getting an EOL penalty to send him to the back so that he does not gain positions out of causing that caution. It looks like drivers are stopping here and scoring is being sorted out. It's an interesting little mass of cars coming across the start-finish line, but we'll get it all sorted out behind the scenes. What we can tell you, however, is Ryan Matthews is the winner of round number 1 in the 2021 Cars eSport Tour. Certainly a battle of attrition and a battle to just keep that car clean, and he did a pretty good job of it.
Yeah, Ryan Matthews, I think, aced the part of this race that he really needed, and that was the restarts. I mean, he had a couple times where a driver could keep up with him, but he never had a restart that they could pass him, and I think that obviously was the most important thing for Matthews, but it kind of proves his abilities and his adaptability with the number 51M that we'll be able to see as we move forward to Myrtle Beach, Langley, and onward in this championship, and hopefully he puts up a good fight.
So Ryan Matthews reigns victorious at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Can't wait to talk with him, and hopefully the rest of the top 3. Don't go anywhere. Post-race coverage on the way here at Pit Stop TV after certainly a rough and tumble round number 1. Driver interviews after this.
Sound Art introduces an entirely new way to listen to music in your home. By combining the best of 2 products, a revolutionary high-fidelity, low-profile Bluetooth wireless speaker with beautiful artwork. Select from a library of artwork or upload your own photos to personalize your experience. Sound Art ushers in an era of invisible, beautiful, and amazing sound throughout your home and redefines your entire entertainment system. The need to reclaim your floor space and rid your home of unsightly speaker boxes that need to be bolted to the wall is now a thing of the past. Our canvas is printed on high-quality permalite by Breathing Color. And select from our gallery or upload your own. Standard sizes include 16 by 20 and 18 by 24 canvas wrapped. Custom sizing is available, as well as surround sound options.
Have you found yourself trying to hide your joy because you're unhappy with your teeth? Your smile is the first feature noticed in an interview, on a date, or in family photos. We want you to be able to shine bright as your best self, and our teeth whitening system is the perfect step toward restoring your confidence.
Sound Art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it Sound Art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound Art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
Welcome back to the virtual North Wilkesboro Speedway. Certainly a wild one this evening. A lot of cautions. Let's just get that one out of the way. 14 cautions for 61 of 80 laps. But while we had green flag racing there, Joe, it was certainly a marvel to watch these guys go at it, do battle. And it was fun watching Ryan Matthews defend over Alex McCollum, Michael Bumgardner, and so many more.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Trayton Lapsevich put on a really good show trying to get up with the 51 throughout this race. And I think, it's the first race these guys are all together, so they're learning the way they drive against each other, and they're just getting their feet wet with this race. And with the car's virtual tour. So I think when we bring them back out again at Myrtle Beach, they'll definitely use what they learned tonight to make a really great show out of that race too. But I thought we had a really good amount of time where the green flag was out, at least, that we got some really good racing side by side.
Yeah, we did get some opportunities to watch these guys battle under green flag conditions, but it is time to go ahead and speak with our race winner, Ryan Matthews, who gets things done this evening in that number 51 car. And Ryan, first of all, I know Trey Patton was very glad to see you on the entry list, but it was very good to see you control this race and see what that 51M could do.
Yeah, it was definitely it was a good race for the laps that we had green. I know there was a lot of cautions out there, but we were able to get a few laps in there, and it was fun racing with Alex McCollum. He qualified pole, I qualified second, and it was pretty much us two. And then he ended up pitting and came back up to the field, and there was a good one lap there at the end so we could race it out. But it's definitely fun. I'm glad to take him to win in the first Cars eSport Tour race y'all got this year. So definitely awesome.
And the takeaway that I have from that is that you said it was still fun. That's the big thing, is while, yes, there were a lot of cautions, and sometimes those cautions aren't fun, the idea of the series is to show up on a Wednesday night, have fun, and, well, be part of the Cars Tour at this point. So it was very good to have you and so many others from so many different backgrounds alongside. Did you find that to be any part of the challenge this evening, fighting these guys that you might not have ever raced with, or maybe raced with Alex McCollum in several leagues before, or what have you? Did you find that as part of the challenge?
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge, especially with Alex, because you never know what he's got up his sleeve. He's a very good driver, as well as the others in here, like Michael Bumgarner and all them other guys. So it's definitely a challenge. I've raced against them a good bit over the years on iRacing, but there's always new tricks up their sleeve. So it's always fun.
And Ryan, I mentioned at the top of the show that we had you in the field for one of the races at Dominion for the Cars Tour this year, but you aren't a Cars Tour driver. Tell the viewers exactly what you race and, well, tell us about your racing career.
Yeah, I race limited late models at Dominion Raceway. They have a class there for their limited late model deal, and we moved up from Legend Cars this year, and been running that throughout the season, and it's been going pretty good. I know we had twin races when the Cars Tour came there about a month and a half ago or so, and we were able to pick up both the wins in those races. So it was definitely a cool deal to win in front of all the Cars Tour teams and everybody that puts on the broadcast and all of that. Is definitely cool to be a part of that. And but it's definitely the late model is definitely a lot different from a Legend car, which is what I ran for 2 or 3 years there, from 2017 to 2020. So it's definitely a new learning experience, and it's been pretty good for us this year, and hopefully our luck continues.
I can tell you one thing, Ryan, it was definitely a lot of fun transitioning from telling who to do what as far as broadcasting the 51M car to now talking about the 51 car. Congratulations this evening. Who makes it happen for you?
Yeah, thanks, man. I just got to thank all my sponsors for the real life, and Sam as well. My dad at SN Auto Service, Pendleton Forest Products, Denise Matthews Real Estate, James River Nurseries, RAM Contract, Concrete and Seal Coating, Midnight Performance, and everybody who helps me out in real life as well, Sellers Racing, and Tanner Automotive Race Engines, and just everybody who supports me. And obviously, I can't thank y'all enough for putting this broadcast on. It's definitely a cool deal.
Ryan, thanks so much for your time this evening. Congratulations, 79 out of 80 laps led. That's certainly a pretty big number. We'll see you in 2 weeks at Myrtle Beach.
Thank you.
Ryan Matthews getting things done from the virtual North Wilkesboro Speedway. We'll hand things down then to Joe Donahue, who is trackside with Alex McCollum.
Yeah, we're going to pull Alex McCollum in here. Alex, that was a heck of a good start to the season with that P2. You definitely had to work for it, though.
Yeah, that was a pretty good race. Wish it went green a little bit more. I think me and Ryan would have had a good race, but I was able to get the pole, so I laid a pretty good lap down. I felt pretty good. Then I got sent pretty good early on, and then I took that advantage to pit for some gas and see if I could play a little bit of strategy.
You definitely had to fight for your right to party today, and obviously you mentioned that strategy. You mentioned sort of getting set back throughout this race, but talk about that run back up through the field. I mean, you got caught up in some stuff. You still were able to pull that car back up. What really was the difference maker for you in getting the one machine back to the front end of the field?
Just patience. Everybody was just driving over their heads tonight, so hopefully everybody can clean it up for the next one, but overall, it was a fun night. You just had to keep your nose clean, try to stay out of trouble, and that's what I tried to do. I got in a few benders, but overall, it was a pretty good night.
Well, I absolutely agree with that, Alex, and I'm sure, from your real-world racing experience, maybe talk about what you do with your own real-world racing. I understand you have a Legends car, and how do you use that in this situation? How did you use the skills that you've built on real asphalt to take to the track tonight?
Yeah, it's like the same thing in real life. You just got to be patient and just be smart. You just can't use up your equipment early on because you just want to be there at the end of the race. So that's what I tried doing, but it was tough with everybody just trying to drive into each other there.
Certainly, but the adversity got you through it. That number one machine comes home P2 for the first race of the season. Very solid start to it. Tell us, Alex, who helps you out here? Who makes it happen? Who do you have to thank here on the broadcast for your performance tonight?
I got to thank 09 Motorsports. They do a lot of open stuff for me, so their stuff's always fast, so it's always a pleasure to race for them on here. So, and I got to thank Call Manufacturing. You guys for broadcasting and then putting this event on. It was pretty fun.
Awesome stuff, Alex. Well, congratulations on your P2 from us here, and we'll hope to see you out again in 2 weeks when we head to Myrtle Beach and see if we can maybe one-up your performance tonight.
Thank you.
And that is your P2 finisher, Alex McCollum there. We'll hand it back to Andrew Cardinale. He's going to round out our podium with the third-place finisher, Michael Bumgardner.
And Michael Bumgardner had a front row seat to a lot of what was going on. Well, next to him, behind him, in front of him. Michael, you had a lot going on around you. Tell us about it.
Yeah, it was crazy. It got pretty crazy there towards the end. I was just trying to hang on and survive, to be honest. It was getting pretty hectic out there. Anybody that got up to the front, I was usually getting drove through or doored, but it was fun.
You started 7th this evening, as low as 9th position, but worked your way back up into the top 2 for a moment, but finishing 3rd place. How did you try and navigate the chaos?
I was just trying to keep my nose clean there for the most part, just try to stay up front as long as I could and try not to get in too much trouble and keep the car as minimal damage as I could, and it worked out for us.
All things considered, I'd say kept the 97 pretty darn clean this evening. Now, those fenders are empty, but tell us, who makes it happen for you in that number 97 car?
The guy behind the wheel, for the most part, I guess.
Hey, fair enough, buddy. Now, we've got a lot of short track competitors, a couple of Cars Tour competitors. Tell us, what brought you to the Cars eSport Tour, and what do you do in real life?
I race go-karts in real life at a bunch of the traveling series, and what really attracted me to the Cars eSports Tour was I keep up with it in real life, so it's about the closest thing I can get to running it in real life, so I took full advantage to come out here and run with these guys.
Absolutely, buddy. Thank you so much for tuning in. Well, not tuning in this evening, but making it out here into the field. And gotta say, congratulations on a 3rd place finish. A race like this, that is certainly hard fought. So take that one to the bank and enjoy it. We'll talk to you in 2 weeks at Myrtle Beach.
All right, thank you.
Michael Bumgardner gets things sorted out from the, I almost said Myrtle Beach Speedway. No, the North Wilkesboro Speedway, finishing 3rd place. A couple of other drivers to speak with. We're going to hand things over to Joe first, with none other than Brandon Mettler, who finishes 7th.
Hey, we're going to pull Brandon in here. Brandon, this is Joe Donahue with Pit Stop TV. You definitely had to fight through some stuff tonight here. You got that BAM Racing Videos number 15 up into the top 10 by the end of this race, but you had some hard-fought battles and some adversity to overcome tonight.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I was a little bit worried, to be honest, going halfway through the race, and I was stuck in back to the really top 20, sitting around 17th, 18th, 19th, and we kept getting cautions. I was worried I couldn't get back up there and couldn't get green flag blacks, but I guess it ended up working in the end.
Yeah, you definitely had some setbacks early in this race that had absolutely nothing to do with your own driving, just sort of a little bit of an unlucky situation a couple times. How do you adapt with that? How do you keep your head up and keep that number 15 rolling to try to get back up to the front for the opportunity to get a finish like you did?
Well, really, with the opportunity we're given with such short laps and a lot of cautions, that takes away a lot of the green flag laps you have, like I said. So I ended up pitting really, really early, making sure I had enough fuel for the whole race, and I ended up putting way too much fuel in than I wanted to, so I knew I was going to be slow with any green flag laps coming out. So honestly, the only shot I knew I had was to, back off and try to be conservative the whole race and avoid cautions, and it kind of ended up working out, especially towards the end when I started gaining a lot. When those cautions ended up coming out.
Absolutely, Brandon. And, we talk about BAM Racing Videos here as one of the partners of Pit Stop TV. Talk about, first, your experience with racing in the real world, what you do, how you affiliate yourself with the sport, and then also how does that affect what you know and how you drive your strategy throughout races like this with what you see and what you learn on real racetracks?
Oh, yeah. So up until like 3 or 4 years ago, I'd say about 4 years ago, I was just a casual race fan that you might see in the grandstands. 90% of the people in the grandstands are just casual race fans that go up to the track and watch some racing. But here about 4 years ago, like I said, I started recording races just from my phone, and people started really enjoying them. So I kind of upgraded to a camera, and now I'm upgraded to kind of what you see on a broadcast now, just not live. So that's kind of had me give me an opportunity to look at races behind the scenes and kind of learn drivers and do interviews and talk to drivers, see what they say. And that kind of translates into what iRacing is today, because like you guys, you're broadcasting racing just in a virtual sense. And a lot of the drivers, like we saw today, like Trayton and Dustin, race in real life. And so they kind of have the sense of, how to race in real life and how that carries over to virtual racing. And the people that are strictly virtual racing can learn from them, driving styles and how to brake and get to the gas and everything like that. So it kind of goes hand in hand, getting involved more into the sport more than just being a casual race fan.
Absolutely agree with that, Brandon. I'm glad you mentioned, being able to see things from an outside perspective definitely helps you when you actually get the opportunity to strap in like that. So, your finish wasn't too bad tonight. I definitely think that's a great way to start the season off, and hopefully for the next 5 races you can keep coming out and getting 1 spot better, maybe 2 spots better, and over time we might talk to you as a race winner. But tell us, who makes it happen for you? Who do you have to thank here on the broadcast?
As you guys saw tonight, my big sponsor is BAM Racing Videos on Facebook and YouTube. Also have to give a big shout out to my iRacing team, Five Kings Motorsports. That's also, we're getting pretty big on Facebook now, and our whole small team since. Also going to give a shout out to MF Racing Designs on Facebook, the Butt Kicker, McConaughey Setup Shop, and everybody helps out. Both BAM Racing Videos, like Andrew and all you guys for putting me in the spotlight, and everybody in the virtual world as well. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely, Brandon. I can definitely back that. The BAM Racing Videos channel definitely is some really high quality, good hometown content, and it's really great to see out there. And hopefully we'll keep getting that great content from you, and we'll keep seeing these great results as this series goes on. But congratulations on your run tonight. We'll hope to talk to you again in 2 weeks.
Yep, got that right. Thanks, guys.
And there is BAM Brandon Mettler. We're going to see if we can get one more quick interview in here. Andrew Cardinale is going to try to pull in a name we're pretty familiar with around these parts. It's Jacob Baticki.
There's no trying to pull this guy in. We will go ahead and grab this guy for a quick comment. Jake Baticki. This is interesting. This is a different little scene for us. You and I very used to working on the broadcast for Cars Tour events, but this is a little bit different. First of all, how did that race go, other than, well, a lot of damage on that 13 car?
Yeah, there was a lot of damage on my car, but it was really fun just being able to drop in and have a fun time just racing with people and seeing a lot of cool new faces and a lot of cool cars.
And that's the big thing about this. The Cars eSport Tour, the idea is to just have fun. It's about just showing up on a Wednesday evening. And I mean, we were just at the Throwback 276 at Hickory on Saturday, and let's just say busting our rear ends. It was certainly a busy day. Now we get to have some fun on the sim. That's what it kind of comes down to. It sounds like through all of the crashing, the chaos, let's be honest, you guys still had some fun.
Yeah, I just got back from school a couple hours ago, bought the track, and came in, had fun during practice. Gotta talk to BAM, and I just had an overall fun time, and would definitely recommend it for anybody who wants to just come have a fun time on Wednesday nights.
Now, certainly, I'd imagine the race format will be a little bit different here in a couple of weeks at Myrtle Beach, but how do you look forward to Myrtle Beach in 2 weeks?
Hopefully, I can get more time just behind the race car. I haven't had this style of race car on iRacing for too long, but I just hope to get a little bit better than where I finished this week, and hopefully I can improve.
So Jake Baticki finishes in the 26th position, so certainly not a great start to the season, but a lot of racing left for that PRN at the track. JRI Shocks Machine. Who else do you have to thank? Who do you want to shout out?
I just want to thank you guys, Pit Stop TV, for putting on such a great production and making everybody get the spotlight, and hopefully to see you guys in 2 weeks at Myrtle Beach.
So Jacob Baticki, my technical director for Cars Tour TV broadcasts, taking 26th position, buddy. Hopefully it's a little further north in the running order in 2 weeks' time.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Jacob Baticki finishing 26th. Again, not the greatest start to the season for him, but a lot of racing left. Joe, as we close this one out, round number 1 from North Wilkesboro was rather chaotic. Let's take a look at our race results. Finishing first, of course, is the driver of the 51, Ryan Matthews, with Alex McCollum close by in tow after that last caution flag. Michael Bumgardner in third place. Robbie Keneally, how about that? A top 5 for that young driver out of Madera, California. Jared Jackson in 5th. Blake Neer in 6th. Brandon Austin Mettler in 7th place. Steele Langford out of North Carolina in 8th. Jake Brooks in 9th. And James Fox, the 2nd, in 10th.
Roll back to 11th on the grid. You've got Garrett Fox in the number 85. Then the 12th spot is Caleb Hall in car number 98. Finishing 13th is Matthew Robinson with the Madman Cole Freilich rounding out P14 after that ending of the race incident. Cole Quinton, also involved in that, is going to round out in 15th. The last car only 1 lap down. You roll back to 16th. You've got Anthony Adams finishing 3 laps down. Then Trayton Lapsovich, who was fast all night. Brandon Mefford, Austin Pernell, and Cameron Bolin are going to round out your top 20 at the end of North Wilkesboro.
They roll back to the 21st position, and we bring you the number 6 car of Gregory Smith out of Jacksonville, North Carolina, 14 laps down for him. Brandon Campbell ends up, I wouldn't say finishing, but ends up 16 laps down in 22nd. Cole Cabery out of Cornelius, North Carolina in 23rd. Zachary Murtis in 24th. Dustin Momburkett in 25th. Jake Baticki, who we just spoke with, in 26th. Charlie Beats in 27th. Joshua Balliet in 28th. Tyler DiVinanzo in 29th. And Wally Wilson in 30th. The back few cars of the field going to be Tyler Hilton, Justice Calabro, and Brian Dickens of our 33 car field. And a big shout out to Zach Buchanan, our in-race admin. Joe, it was certainly a rough one. Certainly a lot of crashes, a lot to look at and learn from for week number 2 in a couple of weeks, but I think it was still a really good race. There was a lot that developed throughout the course of the event, even though Ryan Matthews led darn near the whole thing.
Yeah, you know, we talked about the chemistry. We talked about shaking the dust off. We talked about the aggression that you're going to get out of this race. We talked about how different and difficult it is to run at North Wilkesboro. And I think that, you know, over time, these guys are going to form those good relationships, know how to race each other. They're going to get a little bit more space between them, and they'll get used to the iRacing simulator. I think those are the sorts of things that you really expect out of the first race of a calendar season, is the ability for the guys to get things together and figure out, you know, maybe who's going to be up at the front and who's going to be really competitive all through the season. But even just for the guys to get some laps in, that's, you know, practice makes perfect, and that's what we got out of North Wilkesboro. We're going to go to Myrtle Beach next time, 2 weeks from now, and that's a really great little short track. I personally think it's a really awesome facility. I'm excited to see what these guys are capable of doing when we get there. But, you know, we got what we needed out of North Wilkesboro. We enjoyed it. It was a good show when the guys were racing each other for position, and they can bring it all forward when they go to Myrtle Beach again, and we'll get another really great race out of this virtual cars tour.
Before we go, we do want to thank all of our partners here at Pit Stop TV. Of course, Tucson Sound Art, your picture or your music. Use promo code PitStopTV at checkout for 10% off of your order of your brand new Sound Art device today, as well as Raise Pays Setups, Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine, Whiplash Media, the official broadcast graphic and camera provider of Pit Stop TV, and BAM Racing Videos by a race fan for the racing community. Joe, again, a lot happened, but there's still a lot to look forward to, not just for the Cars eSport Tour, but also for the rest of our week and the beginning of next week here at Pit Stop TV. We can see a little bit of what's to come. We have the North American Racing League on Thursday evening from Interlagos, then the MSRA National Series from Watkins Glen on Friday evening at 8:15 p.m. Eastern, and on Tuesday we wrap back around to the Norc iRacing Series. It's the final race of the regular season, the final opportunity for drivers to work their way into the chase. So time is running out for those guys. Again, a lot to look forward to. In fact, we have another broadcast currently on Pit Stop TV, is the Outlaws Sim Series from Phoenix Raceway that you can tune into right now as we leave here from North Wilkesboro. Emerson Arden is taking you through all of that action over on all of our Pit Stop TV, well, not all of our Pit Stop TV channels, but over on Pit Stop TV on YouTube and the Outlaws Sim Series on Facebook and YouTube. But that will do it then from the virtual North Wilkesboro Speedway. Any other final thoughts you got for us, Joe?
Well, short track racing, always exciting. I think it's something that a lot of people maybe don't get initial access to. You know, obviously I'm from sort of central Pennsylvania. I'm from a place where dirt racing is very big. You know, we don't have a ton of opportunity to be exposed to this kind of stuff. So it's really great to get Pit Stop TV the opportunity to involve more with the Cars Virtual Tour right here, get that exposure, and hopefully get hooked on being able to watch those races with Pit Row TV and even their own local short tracks all around the country. You know, you got to support those local short tracks and dirt tracks. It's what makes the sport what it is at the top level even. So it's been fun. It's always a pleasure to be here with Pit Stop TV, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Myrtle Beach is going to hold next time.
Yeah, we certainly have a lot to look forward to in a couple of weeks' time. Keep up with us here at Pit Stop TV on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You can also watch all of our broadcasts over on Twitch at twitch.tv/pit_stop_TV. You see the rest of the links on your screen now. Again, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. It's either Pit Stop TV straight up or some combination thereof with a couple of underscores. In the case of Instagram, it's pit_stop_TV. In the case of Twitter, it's Pit Stop TV_. On YouTube, it is youtube.com/c/Pit Stop TV 1. That again will do it from the virtual North Wilkesboro Speedway. Happy to have had you all here tuning in and joining us for tonight's action, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. Thank you so much once again for tuning in to round number 1 of the 2021 Cars eSport Tour. There is a lot to keep watching for. So many more races on the docket, so much more racing on the docket for the rest of the season here in 2021. Myrtle Beach Speedway, Larry King Law's Langley Speedway, Hickory Motor Speedway, South Boston Speedway, and Rockingham Speedway coming to you here on Pit Stop TV. Cannot wait to take you all through the action through the course of the summer and fall. For all of Pit Stop TV, Joe Donahue alongside on the mic, Trey Shuttlesworth on our social media coverage. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you next time. Good night.